Hey loves, this your girl Sherika Shay, and we got King Ali on the other line. Say what's up, Ali.
What up to the people? How y'all doing?
Yeah, and welcome back to another episode of the Cage Bird Sings, where we talk about incarcerated chats, meditations, and everything in between. We can come and get inspired and be a part of a community. All right, and so let's get into it. So today we just gonna talk about what does it take for someone to change. And low key, I mean, you got to be tired of being sick and tired. You got to be tired of being sick and tired. You got to be tired of the same ways. You got to be tired of the same outcome. You got to be tired of doing the same stuff over and over, right? They call that insanity when you keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. So we're going to have to change, whether that be mindset, whether that be systems, whether that be the way we move, whether that be the way we think, whether that be our environment, the people we are around. It's a lot, you know what I'm saying? But I believe that comes into play when the person gets tired. An individual has to get tired of where they are. And sometimes tragedy, pain can cause you to change. So let me hear your perspective on that, Ali.
Change is something that's possible for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say that what it takes for a person to change, spoke about to me, listening to you, tired of being sick and tired, the rock bottom, all those things, we for me inside of prison. This is a place, if any, you should want to change, right?
You say, what you say? This is a place what?
It's the place, if any, you will want to change, right? Sitting inside prison.
Right.
You would think that you would want to get your shit together, excuse my language. But for a lot of us, we like to bump our heads continuously. I was someone that repeatedly bumped my head. So I'm not going to say it's prison. I'm going to say it's me, right? I have to thoroughly examine myself each day and understand that the things that I've been doing, I need to change. It is a must for me, right? To critically evaluate yourself in a way that you never did before. Because a lot of times we'll say we want to change, right? We'll say it until we blue in the face.
Yes.
But it has to be through our actions that we want to change.
Absolutely.
Right? So doing that self-inventory, right?
Yes.
And looking at the things that we need to look at to first understand what we need to change and why we need to change those things. Violence and aggression was something that I lived in because I didn't have no tools to be able to speak to people as far as my communication. So I reacted. I was a reactionary person. I got to change that because at the end of the day, in that mindset, I'm going to either be dead or I'm going to be in prison for the rest of my life. That's just the reality of it, right?
Yes.
Sitting back, for me, change is possible. It's right around the corner for anybody. Whatever you need to change, you have to have the willpower as well. We can't mistake that you have to have the willpower because it's hard to change, man. Particularly when you've been accustomed to doing the same thing repeatedly. And a lot of times in that, it felt good to us. We comfortable in that. We live in it, right?
Right.
So, understanding it from that standpoint, Queen, it's imperative that we get the good understanding and know, first of all, want to self-destruct, right? Generally, that's what we do when we met with a challenge, particularly with trying to change the behavior, the mindset. Those things sometimes elude us, particularly when we're weak-minded, right? So we have to have the willpower and the discipline.
Absolutely.
Change is not only within self. Change may be a friend, boyfriend, a girlfriend, your environment, family members. Change has to be literally, when you fully committed to it, you have to change so many different things.
Absolutely.
Because if you you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
It has residue. You can't say, I can't say, look, you know what, I want to stop doing this if I'm still hanging around the same people, because that's not me changing, all right? So I have to fully leave everything alone that was old in order for me to really become new. And that's one of the things that we struggle with. We don't want to change everything, right? So for me, like every day, what I do is now I understand that even when I'm on the yard or, I'm whatever, I don't hang around general people that I probably would associate it with in my past. I try to change that behavior as well.
Mm-hmm.
I try to change the pattern of that. I'm not in a day room doing things that I normally would do, because all those things had a reflection of that bad behavior. So I'm changing everything, right? I'm fully committed to change everything. Is it a struggle? Yes, it's definitely a struggle. It's definitely a struggle, but you got to change all those things, particularly patterns. When we have patterns, and those patterns usually lead us to that self-destruction, Jay.
Absolutely. And, I just wanted to say this as well. Like, I totally agree with you. It's about that self-reflection. It's about actually showing up as that person that you want to be, because when you don't show up as that person that you want to be, it, like you said, it holds residue. You get back, you get to thinking like, dang, I should have showed up this way. I shouldn't have did this, or I shouldn't have done that. But when you allow yourself to correct yourself, even in the process, a lot of times we don't realize that we can correct things that we mistake right then and there. We don't have to continue on with the mistake. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to admit when you make a mistake. And this is stuff that I'm still learning as well. You know what I'm saying? To be accountable for your mistakes in a way that you move and do things, right? And so that's so important. And it's like, the more you do that, right, it's like a practice. The more you practice showing up, being a different version of yourself, a better person of yourself, then it becomes automatic. It'd be like you walk in that. You've embodied that version that you see of yourself, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about embodying these things. It's about embodying a better personality. It's about embodying a better lifestyle. It's about embodying better health. You know what I'm saying? It's about embodying that. And that's what we have to really get into, because it's not just beneficial for the other. It's beneficial for you and your body and your spirit, your mental health, your well-being. That's the benefit, and like I said, I'm learning this, guys, like really, really diving deep in, looking at myself and the things that I even have going on. It's about me, and I have to regulate me. Can't nobody regulate Shay. Shay got to regulate Shay. People can pour into me as much, and I appreciate the pouring in. I appreciate the terms of endearment and all that stuff. But Shay got to make sure Shay is good on top of that. And so I just want to, when you're ready to change, you can do it. And it's just like even with exercising. If you want to lose some weight, you're going to get sore. You know what I'm saying? You going to fall off. You going to eat them cookies. You going to overeat. But it's okay. You get back up and you try again the next day. The goal is to not give up. You have to keep going. Life is going to keep going, so you keep going.
Definitely, it's a struggle. But it's power in change, man. It truly is, because I can say these last few years for me, as I started to shed, the old me and reform the new me in that sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel powerful.
Yes.
Understanding that, like, you was referencing working out in regards to eating them cookies, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with you eating cookies, but as long as you get up,
as long as you what?
Sure you work the cookies. As long as you get up the next 3 days and you work them cookies off, it's good, right?
Right.
You have to have that mindset.
Yeah.
In order for you to get to that point, you have to change that old mindset.
Mm-hmm.
To say, well, you know what? For me now, I understand that fully now. Like, everything that I've done is, like you said, it's all really been me. I done everything. It doesn't necessarily have to do with nobody else. I have to change me.
Right.
And it's internal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I dig deep, and I really started to dig deep, and I started to really understand, myself.
Yes.
And it was amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about I seen things that was so clear to the point where I was like, wow, how did I miss that, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did I miss that? But I was stuck. I was in my own way. And this is a thing, too, for people that's listening. We are our own worst enemy, right?
Right.
We get in the way of ourselves without even understanding that we get in the way of ourselves, right?
Yes.
So I had to change that mindset. Let me stop getting in the way of myself, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's power in change, man. You know, I'm not saying we're not perfect, right? Because we're going to struggle, and at the end of the day, I don't want to try to convey that message as if once you do change, you're going to be perfect in that light, because, you know, we're going to struggle. We're human, man.
Oh, but, yeah, nobody's perfect.
That part, right?
Mm-hmm.
But change is something that it's definitely, whatever you need to change. You know, I don't know, what people fully need to change. I'm just, I'm really speaking for me and myself, but, I needed an overhaul, in all phases for me. So, I advise everybody, man, just, take the time and evaluate and look at yourself.
Like, take the time to sit in the seat of your power. So that's like the meditation move that I've been giving on a daily basis. I've been giving like meditations and everything. And so it's about sitting in the seat of your power. When you sit in the seat of your power on a daily, you get to really see yourself. You really get to plan out your day. You really get to calm your spirit. You really get to calm your mind so that you can actually see what's going on in your reality versus just, being on automatic, being on go just because you on go. Sometimes we can drive and we be dozing off, or not necessarily dozing off, but you be in another world and don't really know how you got home. That's because we're on automatic. We need to become more present with self in order to be able to really truly see ourselves, so that you can see how beautiful you are. You can see how divine you are. See how gracious you can be. These are things that if you don't have, you get to develop them. You get to hone in on those skills. You get to nourish others as well as yourself during that process. So it's important to change for you. And you can do it. You feel me? You can do it. All right, loves. Did you have anything else you want to say, Ali?
No, I think, just to sum it up, Queen, obviously, like I said, it's in all of us. We definitely have the ability to change the course of our lives as we currently live. Don't be confused and think that you don't have the ability to change, whatever it may be that you really need to change. Tap in, start living in the higher nature instead of living in that lower nature. We're trying to grow and continue to grow and progress in a way that we're supposed to. Don't make no exceptions, right? Don't make an excuse for the bad behavior or whatever behavior that you're displaying that you need to change. Like I said, for me, it's imperative for me. It's so imperative and important, because at the end of the day, I'm tired of being in this type of environment, and I'm tired of imprisoning myself, because that's what I'm doing by allowing myself to believe that I didn't have no value and no self-worth. So now I understand it, change is within me. Like Sharon can say, you can't do it for nobody. You got to do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
You got to do it for yourself.
You have to.
And remember, it's going to take time. Be patient. Understand that patience is a virtue. But tap in, man, because understand, like I said, when you change and you start to see it, you're going to start to see your full potential. See, you can't see your full potential if you still locked and submit to that lower nature. You living in that lower nature, you ain't going to see what you're capable of doing, right? You ain't going to see that good change that you need to see. You know, that's all I got to say for that.
And I just wanted what dropped in really quickly is don't be afraid to look at yourself. Don't be afraid to see yourself. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself is seeing yourself. Ask to be shown yourself and be prepared to see yourself. All right, loves. We see you on the next episode. I am a queen.
I am a king.
I am divine.
I am divine.
God is always with me.
God is always with me.
And my ancestors are proud of me.
And my ancestors are proud of me.
And we see y'all on the next one. Peace, peace.
All right, peace, y'all. Peace.